You're watching StratNews Global. I'm Amitabh, Revi, and joining us is Ambassador Anil Wadhwa, former Secretary East to the Ministry of External Affairs, and also, more importantly, with what we are discussing, is the former envoy to Thailand. Thank you so much, Ambassador Wadhwa, for your time.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Ambassador, just the latest protest, there was a break because of the corona pandemic. Earlier in the year as well, there were protests or demonstrations in Thailand. But how do you really read it, the demonstrations, when they're talking about a call for democracy, even calling for dissolution of parliament, the military-led government? I mean, they won elections, of course, in 2019 under rules that they had also made up. But something that seems pretty radical for Thailand, when they're questioning even the monarchy.
Yes, so I think it's a gradual build-up of frustration amongst the young people in particular and the millennials as well. What has happened in Thailand in this century is quite dramatic because starting from 2005, Thailand has slipped into a cycle of coups and rewriting of constitutions and also drawing up the political constituencies. And this has all been done in order to make sure that the populist Thai Rak Thai party to begin with, and after that, its incarnations do not have a free run in the elections. The reason being that they were seen as pro-populations which are lying in the outlying regions, which ran counter to the interests of the elites in Bangkok. And then, of course, the Democrat Party was mainly representative of these elites. There was a time also in between when the military stepped in, both in 2005 and again in 2014. And they were seen to be siding with the Democrats because of the allegiance to the monarchy. So this has all led to a situation where in 2014, the military government decided that the constitution had to be rewritten in order to make sure that the populist parties like Thaksin Shinawtra's party and later on his sister Yingluck, who succeeded him, it would not be easy for them to come back to power. That, of course, the people saw as robbing them of their legitimate right to vote in a government that they preferred. And the reason for the popularity for the populist parties in Thailand has been that they fought on the platform of bringing benefits to the poorer sections of the population lying in the outlying regions. So agriculture, insurance, free healthcare, etc., have been their planks, which has actually appealed to the poorer sections of Thai society and the workers. And then, of course, Thailand got divided into two camps in between: the yellow shirts, who were pro-Democrat Party, and the red shirts, who were with the Thaksin Party and its successors. So starting in 2014, when the military government once again came back to power as a result of a coup, and Yingluck Shinawatra was forced to flee the country, in fact encouraged to do so. Since then, the military regime has been able to consolidate its hold, and it has, in 2017, succeeded in bringing about a new constitution. That new constitution makes sure that the Senate is chosen by the military themselves. And obviously, they then vote on the Prime Minister. That is how Prayut Chan-o-cha, who's been in power since 2014, has continued to remain as the Prime Minister. Meanwhile, Thailand has suffered a double blow because we also had a succession issue where the current king is seen, and that is King Maha Vajiralongkorn, is seen as a very pale shadow of King Bhumibol Adulyadej, who ruled for 70 years from 1946 to 2016 and was seen as a very benevolent monarch. And so compared to him, people see the new king as aloof from the problems of the people, prone to luxurious life, and living away most of the time, sometimes in
In
Germany,
Germany.
sometimes elsewhere,
Yeah. Yeah.
and not really bothering about the day-to-day affairs of the country like his father used to do. So
Sure.
I think that stark comparison has also played a very big role. And of course, when in 2019, when the new government took oath,
Mm, mm.
Prayut Chan-o-cha as the Prime Minister owed his allegiance in the oath only to the
Of course.
monarchy and to the country, but left out the constitution. So that is another bone of
Yeah.
contention in Thai politics. People do not see that as a good sign, and therefore frustration is building up
Mm.
amongst the young people who've grown up in this century and the millennials who've seen this change happening as well. So both
That
these forces
frustration,
have come together.
yeah, as you're pointing out, the reverence for King Bhumibol Adulyadej is not there with Maha Vajiralongkorn as well, and the coalescing of Prayut Chan-o-cha and the monarchy, one of the factors. And your comment on, even though the forefront is students, even school students, and they have, of course, all the millennial trapping symbols of Harry Potter. They're even using Les Miserables, and they sing the Thai version of "Do You Hear the People Sing," and that famous now the reverted three-finger salute of defiance from the Hunger Games. But it's also being joined, like you're saying, the frustration is reflecting other sections of society.
Yes, because as I said, there's a coalition of interests which has come
Mm.
about. The students don't see a good future for themselves, especially because COVID has hit Thailand pretty badly. The economy has contracted 6.8%, tourism is down. They do not see things recovering at least till 2022. So the students who are going into college, university, etc., and those who are college-going students or currently in the universities, when they pass out, they see a very bleak future for themselves because of lack of jobs. They do not see any future in terms of their own prosperity. They see a drift in Thailand. And Thailand once was the second largest economy in Southeast Asia, growing pretty fast compared to the other countries. But currently, it has slipped down to fourth or the fifth position in terms of its economic growth. That
Mm.
reflects across the society. Those who are in their mid 30s and 40s similarly are frustrated because they were young people, young students, and when they were growing up and when this change happened
Aspiration.
in the early 2000s. And they really saw this change happening in Thai society, which is for the worse.
Mm.
Between them, they feel they have lost hope because the constitution has been changed as well,
Yep.
and they cannot then choose the kind of people that they want to govern themselves. So all these factors have come together along with the change of succession in the monarchy after the
Yep.
previous king died, and this has brought about these frustrations.
Ambassador, you're talking about a drift within the Thai society. What about the drift from, say, well, Thailand's always been known as following a balanced foreign policy, but the drift away from the US towards China, and would you put it in context with the light of what's really happening currently?
I think that is also linked a lot to what's happened in Thai politics. After the 2014 coup, the Obama administration was very cool to the military regime because they did not get an assurance that election would be held within a period of a year or so, which they wanted.
Yep.
And therefore all major contracts were kept at bay. The military cooperation program was suspended, and obviously the European Union followed suit as well. Now, in this situation, the Chinese reached out to Thailand and to the military government and welcomed them. They strengthened the military, linkages with Thailand. There was a time when at least nine people, ministers of the cabinet, who were all from the military regime, paid a combined visit to
Beijing.
China, and that was seen as a very dramatic happening. So that situation continued till 2016 or so, when there was a visit finally from by Prayut Chan-o-cha to the United States. The United States influenced European Union and others like Australia to follow suit. Japan had already broken ranks and in 2015 had invited Prayut to visit there. So slowly, that sort of balance internationally was restored. And Thailand is a country which would like to maintain ties with both sides. They
Yeah.
know that that the regional power is China, but at the same time, the linkages remain to the United States as a guarantor of Thailand's security still. And at the same time, they would like to make sure that countries like Japan, Australia are all invested in Thailand's future. Again, they have very big stakes as an economy in the center of ASEAN, and they would like that support to continue as well. Most of these countries get influenced with how United States thinks. So for them, it's very important to maintain that balance. So on paper, of course, Thailand is seen as a country which is maintaining that equidistance between the major powers at the moment. In practice, however, the influence of China has grown in Thailand over all these years, and there is prognosis is that in future as well, because of the
Mhm.
economic ties, this will continue to grow steadily over the next few years.
Well, one thing that has constantly been brought up in Thai society over history, and I think it's over 700 years, every few years or every 10 years or so, the so-called Kra Canal or the Thai Canal, as it's now called, and the Chinese influence there, especially in the light of the Malacca dilemma and how Chinese transportation imports and exports pass through there, and that could be a choke point. Is that just something that just is brought up repetitiously, or is there more substance to it?
Well, certainly the Chinese are interested in that project because, as you rightly said, it will cut down the costs of transportation, the time taken for transportation, and security-wise for the Chinese, it's a very important alternate route which would then obviate the need for making sure that the Malacca Straits remains open for China in the future, especially in times of conflict. As the Chinese influence over Thailand grows, the talk about Kra Canal and the Chinese involvement in the Kra Canal gets more and more strengthened. From time to time, the Thai authorities have said that there is nothing serious about it.
Yeah.
And also, there are commissions that have been established to go into the feasibility of what can happen. One major factor which is keeping Thailand back from going ahead with the project is the ongoing insurgency in the south, which has happened since 2004. We all know that this insurgency is backed by Malay
Malaysia.
radicals who are backed in turn by countries like Saudi Arabia as far as finances are concerned. And of course, the fact that the Rohingyas have made a bid to land in the southern part of Thailand on and off, but have been kept at bay. It's important, therefore, for for the Thai military government to have full control over the situation,
Mm.
despite the fact that occasionally you find still bomb blasts going off in one city or the other, and they have not been able to fully control what is going on in southern Thailand. So the Kra Canal would then create its own dynamics and
Mm.
challenges. It would first of all cut off the southern part even more from the main territory of Thailand. At the same time, there is a big environmental risk which could happen because of the fact that people would be displaced, and there are a number of communities which live on fisheries, for example,
Yeah.
and agriculture, and that itself would create unrest
Mm.
in that situation. So these are things which are keeping them back from backing the project fully. And of course, the Chinese have to think about how feasible this whole project would be as well. But the controversy and the mention of the Kra isthmus never dies down.
It never dies down, like you think, over 700 years, I think. But Ambassador, how do you visualize what's happening currently playing out? The protests, the Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha has rejected the demands, but there has been an opposition move, however small it is, in the Senate to try and move a commission to change the charter. How do you visualize that moving, that dynamic? And what is India's role? I mean, there's no role as such, but is India watching to see what's happening? What would, say, an envoy, if you were the envoy there, you would be just sending reports back, suggesting what's happening on the ground?
Yes, because there are a large number of Indians who live in Thailand. There is also an ethnic Indian population, which is Thai, in particular, 150,000 odd, which is a very strong constituency as well. And of course, our trade has been growing with Thailand. The security cooperation is excellent. In fact, there have been a number of extradition requests that have been met by Thai authorities.
Yes.
The defense ties have grown over the past few years as well. So all in all, it's a excellent relationship with sharing of information across the board. And in this situation, India would certainly like that Thailand remains calm and that there is not too much of disruption in the society. Many countries, including India, have learned to live with the cycles of coups and constitutional changes in Thailand. The business goes on, and the businesses have learned also to live with a similar situation. So it's not causing too much of a consternation around the world. But at the same time, one has to make sure that this doesn't disrupt the normal dealings of India, for example, with Thailand in different fields. Now, in this situation, I think the military government would certainly like to diffuse the situation as well. One of the speculations that is going around is that it will come down with a very heavy hand on the protesters, especially the handful of
But
students who are
that could
protesting.
backfire.
Yes. So I think if wiser sense prevails, then the better way to do this would be to appoint a committee or a commission to look into further reforms in the constitution that was adopted in 2017. Of course, that would mean that the complete assertiveness of the military in nominations to the Senate, 350 members, would come under question again. But at the same time, it would buy time for the military government so that the popular uprising can be subdued, at least for the time being. It's very surprising that despite the COVID pandemic, these kind of protests have not diminished. In fact, whenever there's a relaxation, we see a resurgence of protests, and that's mainly to do with the economic situation. So if Thailand manages to get back on its feet economically, I suppose these kind of demands would get more subdued. But there's a larger question about the political dissatisfaction by people being denied, the right to choose what they want to do, which party they want to vote for, and then seeing in turn that that party does not actually come to power because of the peculiar constitution that has been drawn up. Um, and at the same time, this dissatisfaction which has arisen due to the comparison of the current king compared to his father. So unless those causes are addressed and rectified, we will not see these protests dying down in the near future.
Ambassador Anil Wadhwa, appreciate your perspective and your time. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. A pleasure to be with you.
And just a reminder to all our viewers and subscribers, you can just log on to stratnewsglobal.com to get the latest news and analysis from an Indian perspective, to follow us on our social media handles on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and just click on that bell icon on YouTube if you want to get reminders for videos like this one that we put up. You're watching Stat News Global. I'm Amitabh Revi.